light just blazing. You're brand new. Happy New Year.
Yeah, I
It's
be
New
blinking
Year.
ago. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, New Year, new coach Skeeters. He got a new Apple Watch on with the band. He trying to hide it low key.
Yes, right.
Man.
You got to send me some money.
Yeah, man. What's going on, Coach? How you feel on January 2024?
Happy New Year, Kev. Happy New Year, right? May 2024 be better and great than anything you've accomplished or thought of in years past, right? 23 was a great year. It was a good year. It was a good year, but all good things come to an end, and happiness bringing in the new year. That's for sure. And
That's right.
the New Year's resolution, according to the missus, is I'll make sure I get it right now. Flexibility, understanding, and grace.
Oh, she tired of you. Yeah,
Nah, bro. Nah.
yeah.
No. When I was with some friends for dinner to bring in the new year, that was the resolution for 2023. Flexibility, understanding, and grace. So
Well, we are recording this on the holiday, so I don't want to take up too much of your time from your family. For we all had to get back to the workplace. So, but you mentioned 2023 being a strong year, man, and you had some things, and we got to dig into this. Your top moments of 2023. We'll follow that up with your top predictions.
Okay.
For 2024. And we will hold you against all of this as usual.
Yeah,
and see where this goes. But Skeet, 2023 a strong year, especially for that team on your shirt.
Hey,
well,
listen,
and on the hoodie, man. Where you want to start here?
If you time stamping January 1, 2024, okay, there's no more doubt of who's the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, them boys dropped 56. Boy, them boys dropped 56 on the Dogs.
You understand? So it's the scene from Remember the Titans, Denzel, with Coach Boone and Coach Yost, where Coach Yost turned to Coach was running up Herman, leave no doubt.
That is a fact. And I know we got plenty to touch on with your Ravens because you are a little biased in these streets. But reviewing 2023, Skeet, where you want to start?
Let's go to Colorado.
All right.
Let's go with Coach Prime. I mean, really think about what he's done in coaching, right? Coming from high school and TV and, reality shows with his sons to an HBCU who had, to literally, he restructured the facilities with the donation, with the new track and field and practice field for Jackson State. And actually, he lost the championship game. Now, he won the SWAC back-to-back years, but went 0-2 in the championship games, but took the job in Colorado, talking about his, he bringing his luggage and his Louis Vuitton and his Louis. And game one, goes on the road and knocks off, a team that played in the national championship game. You figure you heard the names at Jackson State, but then for those two guys, that program, I'm not even going to Shador and the entire Colorado football program and its coach and its impact on the world. Think about, he had ESPN and Fox on his campus for the same game. Now, I don't know, those stations usually go, game day goes one other place and
that's right.
Fox goes to another place, but they were both at Colorado.
That's right.
For the Colorado State game. So that's just the impact that Deion had on college football for the season. Now, obviously, when it got to Pac-12, Oregon, and those programs, they made a hell of a comeback against USC.
Yeah.
But he showed, one, that he can coach and put a staff together. Like, hats off to his staff and what they were able to accomplish for those games. You especially the first game. Like, you talk about game one, you were hoping that they played well.
Yeah, that was TCU, and I remember texting you that day when they won, and just like, man, I'm tearing up here. This is incredible for this to happen, because that was TCU just removed from getting blasted, but we're just in the national championship game, and Colorado does this. Coach, have you ever seen a movement like this, a change, an immediate change like this, and not so much in the wins, as to your point. This was a monumental move for the city, the sport. What nobody was talking about Colorado. Have you ever seen a movement like this ever?
You know what? Not in the beginning. It normally happens in the end. You talk about Shaka Smart and VCU from the first four to the final four, and the mid-major successor program, UMBC in the NCAA tournament, but never in the anticipation. And then by the end of the year, they fell off. So you Shaka didn't win the national championship, but he went to a Final Four.
That's right.
So that following, that's the type of impact. Like in college football, no, there's never been anything like that. No, and going into the playoffs system next year, where they're now having 12 teams, that will bring, in my opinion, the kind of following for college football like the NCAA tournament. Think about the Colorado. I mean, that Colorado State game where you had, you can name the stars, The Rock and Lil Wayne, brought him out like it was a concert. It was literally a concert in Boulder, Colorado. They did the special on the Twins, the elderly lady that's been a Colorado fan and alum, her and her sister forever. And Deion brings her into the locker room. She told, "Give me my theme music." No. In the NCAA, I've never seen anything like. And Deion is Deion. So, Deion with the do-rag and things of that nature as a player, going from Atlanta to Dallas, San Francisco, winning the Super Bowl, playing baseball, like the things that he did as a person, as an athlete, transcended into college football. And it's been good for college football. I mean, he was doing some really good things for HBCU, opening up the eyes to the leadership of HBCUs and upgrading their programs, and hopefully that continues. And so he took it to the next level, which, Deion being Deion. So no, that is unique in itself. And tell you what, it's going to be hard to follow that act up. Right? He's going to have to win some more games. That's probably the only thing he could, to top that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, let's stay in that same vein, and this is kind of what sparked that excitement with Deion. All over the place. This has been a game changer for sure. It's free agency at its finest. Coach, your best or worst of 2023, NIL and transfer portals getting out of control.
So the transfer portal has been good for, college athletes, men and women, to be able to make the decision to leave. There's just been a lot of the student athletes that get stuck in the portal. There is a pro and a con to the transfer portal, because the con is that the negative is that parents and kids, I won't just put it on the kids, because most of them come from influences, their homes. However, whatever their family life is like prior to coming into college sports. But you always had to get the release. So you had to have the conversation with coach to sit down and say, "I'm leaving." Right? That was important. And coach was just like a parent, and they still are today. But the transfer portal with NCAA, and I'll be honest with you, they had no coaches in the room when they made the decision to let the kids just leave. They're 18 to 22, 24-year-olds, and they're making life-changing decisions. And a lot of it is it's we don't hear about the negatives, or I don't even say the negative, but we don't hear about the kids that are not the big-time players that are stuck. They left their programs for whatever reason and don't get a scholarship. Now, for a program like, the quarterback from Wake Forest goes to Notre Dame, and the backup from Alabama or from Notre Dame, now he's back to Notre Dame to play lacrosse. Like, those examples are positives, because this kid is a really good lacrosse player. Didn't really play much at Alabama. The things worked out for the other quarterback. Alabama's in the championship, the Final Four for football, the college playoffs. And so this kid gets to go back to Notre Dame and play lacrosse. And he may be a pro lacrosse player, but he gets to finish out his career, gets to make the decision that's best for him. He's not, stuck at Alabama. And there are a lot of great scenarios of kids, situations where whatever the situation may be, homesick, things of that nature. I mean, there was a kid at Miami last year in the Final Four. I think he went to 4 high majors. He went to Kansas, DePaul.
Jeez.
I can't even think of this kid's name. And then he ended up at Miami last year, and they go to the Final Four. So there's a lot of positives for the transfer portal. Again, I'll just say before we go into the NIL that the NCAA did miss out on involving coaches in the process. So I talked to Kevin last night, and I'm talking to Kevin, and we're talking about playing time and opportunities and the degree and things of that nature. And that's a lot they don't talk about is those kids transferring, the credits don't transfer. So how far are they from graduating, things of that nature. But you had to have the conversation with coach.
Right.
Now, kids, I get a call from compliance tomorrow morning saying Kevin's leaving. I said, what do you mean Kevin's leaving? I just talked to him last night. Coach, he's in the port. He's gone. So, and then you never hear from Kevin again. And those are the scenarios that are the negatives. But again, it is 50-50. I must say, I can't say one weighs more than the other in the pros and cons of the transfer portal. NIL, I believe the kids always should have been getting paid. We'll find in the years to come, and I say this begrudgingly, but we may see the NCAA like a Ponzi scheme with Bernie Madoff in 20 years from now. Because when the Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh told the NCAA when they appealed the Ed O'Bannon case through the Supreme Court, and Kavanaugh told them that they could not get away with what they've been doing, how they've been operating in any other walk of life. So you're talking about as a chef in entertainment, in any industry, right? That the I won't call them employees, but the ones that everyone is paying to come to see are not benefiting in any way in the resources of millions to hundreds of millions to billions of dollars. And they knew it. And again, I'm going to say this name and research it. Walter Byers, who coined the phrase student athlete. He was the original president of the NCAA. He coined the term student athlete, said in 1990s, in the 90s and the early 2000s, that this needs to change. What he created and what he helped build needed some adjustments. And so I've always believed that, from the rules about the putting the spread on the bagels was a violation. You're getting kids the bagels, but you can't put the peanut butter. Like that's extra benefit. They were ridiculous. They didn't make any sense. And so now that they're able to, and the athletes that are benefiting should have benefited for years. You can look at the Final Four runs, the student athletes at Richmond, Virginia, at VCU, to the gymnasts at UCLA and things of that nature. Now they're able to market them, and it doesn't really affect the team. I mean, you talk about these deals. Well, again, I'm sure there's some negatives that are out there, and the tax issues that the kids may have years to come. But I mean, that's just like being in the real world. That's what you go to college for, is to learn those types of things in life. So why not everyone else on campus is able to earn a living? Athletes should be able to earn a living. And it doesn't stop the schools. It doesn't hinder the universities, the conferences from revenue, from making money, from doing this. They're still able to operate the same way. Now, Rand Paul and my man from West Virginia, they kind of showed their true colors with their statements, about the kids driving Bentleys and things of that nature, like rappers. No, they're just able to earn a living. That was the slap in the face to the athletes from those people when in politics. They're Kentucky fans or West Virginia fans, big time sports, Kentucky basketball and West Virginia University. Those are the slaps in the face for NIL from the kids that look like myself, and they're going to the business of college sports, because it is a business. Let's just be frank. The COVID 2020 shutdown of the NCAA tournament and the 2021 NCAA tournament that took place proved that college athletics is a business, because that contract with CBS and NCAA had a clause in it that if they had consecutive events that didn't take, or tournaments that didn't take place for whatever reason, they had to renegotiate the contract. Well, that tournament happened, as we see, where I think it was VCU again. They were disqualified. They never even played because the kid tested positive. A friend of mine's son was on that team at VCU, and so he never got they made the tournament, but he never got to play in the NCAA tournament.
Wow.
But the revenue from that tournament paid for the championships of all the other sports, which is still a great business model. It's working, and now it's working for the student athletes, the twin basketball players at Fresno State. In the beginning, they were one of the largest money makers in NIL. And so that is a game changer for the athletes, that they're now able to, the article was written that they made more than assistant coaches at Fresno. Well, they're able to, it was like the coach versus the president. It's like I had a better year than the president. So, what I'm saying? So, me, I'm as you can see with my wall, I've been a coach for a long time. They still haven't come up with something to save the assistant coaches. How about with a pension plan for the assistant coaches? And I'll digress there because,
Mm-hmm. So here go that biasness again.
Yes, indeed. That 6 months, that 30 days for the assistant coaches, where your health insurance and your salaries are gone. And
that ain't enough.
That's tough.
Let's stay on the.
I lived that. So
let's stay on the court. Two key acquisitions were made at LSU out in Baton Rouge. It was Kim Mulkey and Angel Reese, and then immediate success was achieved. Best of 2023 with Coach Eric Skeeters. Kim Mulkey, Angel Reese lead LSU to a national title against a cold-blooded killer out there in Iowa, Caitlin Clark. They got it done.
I tell you what, I remember watching Kim Mulkey as a player in the 80s. She played with a young lady named Tori Harrison that was from Baltimore with Louisiana Tech, and they went to the national championship. And obviously been a big fan of Baylor and what she's accomplished in basketball as a player, now as a coach. And Angel, I went to high school with her mom. I coached her aunts. I at the same school at St. Francis in Coppin State. So, Angel's like, a distant relative, like literally a close cousin. And just knowing the connection and the success, like that Final Four with the, they ring me and the NIL deals and, Caitlin Clark and what she's accomplished as a player. It was one of the best stories in college basketball. So Kim Mulkey was a player in the 80s when Vivian Stringer took the most successful HBCU program was Cheney State's women's team under Vivian Stringer. They went to 2 Final Fours in 3 years. 82 in the national championship game. I want to say they lost to Kim Mulkey. Then 84, I can't remember if they made the championship game. But to now, women's basketball is, you see a phoenix rising in the players and their abilities and the success of Dawn Staley. And you still have UConn, and there's, for me, the WNBA and what women's basketball is accomplishing right now. That story of Angel Reese, and what is that? The whole "you can't see me" thing with Caitlin Clark. Like, I was glued to the tube. Obviously, there's a Baltimore following, so I'm biased, but at the same time, it was a worldwide national story with the success and then the talent level in college basketball, in women's college basketball. I think it's a great platform for the years to come. And Kim Mulkey, Dawn Staley, and Gino and all the rest of the programs, Arizona, watch out for, I'm going to show my biases, the coaching staff for George Mason's women football, Vanessa Blair Lewis, the head coach at George Mason, is one of the ones on the rise, let's just say, in college, women's college basketball.
All right, let's go to the NBA.
I don't have my shirt, my hat. I don't have my swag. I don't have my Nugget swag.
There's free gear going on.
Listen, Shout
The
out to
Nuggets.
Mike Malone.
Yeah.
The Denver Nuggets, they finally get over the hump. You think about the grind from the bubble, right? And that injury to Murray and the transition of Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter and those guys growing in their games to win it all. Like beating LeBron in the conference finals where the Lakers had swept them, where the Lakers had knocked off Golden State, a great conference finals last year with Joker versus LeBron, the 2-time, 3-time MVP in, Joker. Like now he's established himself as the best player in the world with that, once you get the ring, it was like Dr. J. He finally got the ring, and to Tim Connelly's credit, Tim Connelly's now the GM of the Minnesota Timberwolves, but putting that team together, Joker was a second-round pick. Like this fat, chunky dude, from where he's from, Serbia, but his work habits, his skill level and talent level, second to none. I mean, a champion. When you're describing programs and organizations like LeBron going back to Cleveland, they haven't won a championship in 50 years. The Nuggets had never won in their existence in the NBA a title. And to do that, to what they accomplished, who they beat, you give credit where credit is due. Miami proved that the playing team works. The toughness still wins. But I don't care who they probably would have played. It was Boston or Milwaukee in the finals. The Denver Nuggets was the best team.
It wouldn't have mattered. That's right.
In the NBA. And, let's see what happens. They didn't win the play-in, or what is that tournament this year? The Cup or the
in season.
In season. Yeah, NBA Cup. I don't think that worked well. But, Joker and the Denver Nuggets, hats off to, because – and Coach Mike Malone. Mike's a grinder. Mike was in college basketball for a long time, was an assistant in the NBA for a long time with Cleveland and Mike Brown and the young LeBron James, to getting his opportunity in Denver and just building it. And kudos to the ownership at Denver sticking with Mike Malone to see it through. And, just like his dad won with the Detroit Pistons, Mike Malone is now a world champion head coach.
Speaking of world champions, let's go to the Diamond. Two things you wanted to touch on. Your favorite, your Baltimore Orioles, best record in the American League this past year. Texas Rangers out of nowhere, winning the World Series. A very interesting, fun year in Major League Baseball.
Without a doubt. Houston Astros and Dusty Baker with the success that they had. The Orioles, we had Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year, but our best season and the best record in baseball. But the Texas Rangers, hats off to Bruce Bochy and what they were able to accomplish. They didn't lose a game on the road in the playoffs in the World Series.
In
the playoffs and going into the World Series. Think about that, Kat.
Yeah,
they won every road game. It's like, what I'm saying? At least you can say you lost to the champs.
That's right.
In baseball, like at Camden Yards, and seeing that place and full to capacity, and people wearing their Oriole gear, it's one of the original throwback modernized stadiums. Now, the American League East Yankees, or we've seen what the Yankees have done, we've seen what the Dodgers have done, but the Texas Rangers and their run in last year's playoffs and World Series is just a credit to getting hot at the right time. And, look what happened. They ran through the American League. They swept the Orioles. We didn't win a game.
Right.
We didn't win a game. They had to play in the wild card game. The Rangers had to play in the wild card, win that, and they come to Baltimore, win both games. I'm like, no, but we didn't win the game. Then they go to Texas, and it's over. It's just like that, 100 wins, Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and just like that, we didn't win a game. It was over. So, to his credit, and what he did with San Francisco before coming to the Texas Rangers, Bruce Bochy's got to be one of the best managers in baseball. If you didn't think so, Or now,
Right.
you didn't think so before.
Well,
Man,
the tide could easily change, and we'll switch gears and go to your 2024 predictions. Orioles didn't fare so well this year in the postseason, but you believe.
well, you think about the job Brandon Hyde has done and what he's been able to build, what they built in Baltimore, right? And how he's stuck with. We didn't have our closer at the end. And so with that, I just believe that if there's just like we talked about Denver Nuggets and over the years in those, like Baltimore went from 97 to Buck Showalter. We had 14 consecutive losing seasons, let alone making the playoffs. They didn't have a winning record for 14 years after losing to Jeter in the ALCS his rookie year in his first World Series with the Yankees. So the Orioles have now flipped the script, and now they're back to being one of the powers in the American League East and in the American League and in baseball. And so I think this is the year that they close the deal. I mean, what Houston has done with in Dusty Baker, they're definitely Texas will definitely be in the conversation. The Dodgers and the pitchers that they picked up with Otani and it's the Orioles' year, I believe, to put it all together and close the deal. Now, like I said, teams like the Dodgers, who are the National League contender, Philly. I mean, who did the Rangers beat, Kev, in the World Series? I forgot.
The Diamondbacks.
Thank you. Yeah, nobody remembers the second place team, right?
That's right.
So,
That's right.
yeah, but no, I think the Orioles close the deal.
All right. Well, we'll see because the AL East in general is always super competitive. So you never know who's going to come out on top. But the Orioles, a unbelievable season this past year. Once again, the best record in the entire American League.
Yankees signed a hitter. They signed a pitcher last year. They're building up, but at the same time, they know how to win. The Yankees in there, I can't discredit what they've accomplished over the years, but I think it's just, like in the 80s, how good we were, the Orioles. I think it's, tides have changed.
And then you never know what the Rays do.
Tampa was really good this year. They started off, 20-1?
Wander Franco. Let's see what happens. Franco. Let's see what happens. He's in trouble. But let's go to the hardwood again. We'll stay professional. Coach Eric Skeeters says the Milwaukee Bucks and the LA Clippers, new addition James Harden, the three-headed monster there, they figure it out and make it all the way to the NBA Finals. James Harden shows up in the playoffs, or maybe he doesn't have to as much with the assistance of possibly a healthy Kawhi Leonard, a healthy Paul. How does this happen? 2024 predictions, Bucks versus Clippers.
Let's start in the East. So Dame Dollar, right? You think about one of the most impactful players in an organization with the Portland Trail winning shots at the buzzer in Game 7. Now he brings it to I guess one of his boys, Giannis, picked him first in the All-Star game last year. So the combination of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Dame Lillard, in the end, they're going to face a tough Boston Celtics organization. Obviously, when you go into that Garden, come playoff time in April and May, it's that Eastern Conference Finals. Get your popcorn ready because Tatum and Brown and, shout out to my man, assistant coach Sam Cassell with Boston. Like, he's been there and won a championship as an assistant before, as a player. Sam's got 3 rings as a player. They know how to win. The Bucks, I think now they put this together. Tough loss, with their point guard going to the Celtics. So there's going to be that battle. But at the same time, I think the Bucks went out. I think with the addition of Middleton coming back, they have that same nucleus, new coach. So hopefully, he's won with Toronto, so he understands what they'll need to do to finish the job. But then you look at the LA Clippers, and you look at a franchise that's, I don't know if they've ever been to the conference finals, but they've never been to the NBA finals. Westbrook and what he's done with the addition of James Harden coming off the bench and that sacrifice, Well, they won 9 of their last 11. They won 8 in a row. Tyronn Lue has won as a player. He's won as assistant coach. He's won as a head coach. He's coached one of the best players in the game in LeBron James at Cleveland and taking them to the championship and down 3-1 winning. He knows the buttons to push as the leader on the court, off the court. That's the secret sauce for me. Tyronn Lue and his coaching staff. Shout out to my guy, Jason Powell, who's the head trainer, been with the Clippers for decades. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Westbrook, James Harden, and another successful role player, Norman Powell. They have the nucleus. They have what it takes. And they have so many weapons that the Clippers can beat you a lot of different ways. Kawhi's been known for his defense. So let's say they're playing the Lakers. Let's say they're playing the Nuggets in the playoffs. He can do it on both ends. We know with Paul George, with the Pacers, and his battles with LeBron James in Miami, right? We've seen that. Powell was with Kawhi Leonard when they won in Toronto in that 1-year run. A young James Harden and a young Russell Westbrook lost to the Miami Heat, okay, as youngsters in the league. So now you put all that together. You mix it all up, stir it all up, right? You stir it all up. It has a recipe for success. It has a recipe for disaster. Yes, of course.
I don't know if this happens.
But James Harden, and I've had this conversation with the barbershop talk, led the NBA in assists in 2023. His teammate, Joel Embiid, was finally the MVP. He finally played a full season healthy. Regardless of what took place in the playoffs, I mean, he played his behind off in first 2 games against the Celtics. Led the league in assists. His teammate was MVP. That played a huge role. James Harden played a huge role in success and the growth of Joel Embiid. They were one of the best pick and roll twosomes in the league. So that guy is super talented, already been an MVP, okay? So Russell Westbrook, MVP, and 2 seasons of triple-doubles, averaging triple-doubles for the season. That's a lot of talent. I'm telling you right now, in basketball, I'd rather have great players than not have them because they make you up for your mistakes as a coach. Okay, a Russell Westbrook, a Paul George, a Kawhi Leonard, and a James Harden, they can make up for a lot of mistakes on a given night on both ends of the floor. Okay,
we'll see what happens. I know Doc Rivers recently revealed there was a change in James Harden when he didn't make the All-Star game, and mentioning that immediately after not making the coach's vote, he looked to be more shot heavy than pass heavy, and that was kind of the change there.
Well, real quick, because they lost like 4 or 5 in a row when he first came to the Clippers, right? They lost all these games. They were close games, but they lost. But now what? Russell Westbrook decided to come off the bench. Who made that comment? Who had that conversation? I'm willing to bet it was Tyronn Lue with Russ. And the reasons why, here's what we got to do, and here's how we got to do it. And so I need you to do this. And Paul George, I need you to do that. And Kawhi, I need you to do this. And things of that nature. Now, James coming in, he's putting the pieces together. He's putting the puzzle together to where in the end, come June, I'm telling you, I think the Clippers are going to be in the money.
Well, I'm not mad at it. I don't know if it happens, but I would love to see 6 to 7 games because somebody has to stop Giannis. And if there is a healthy Kawhi Leonard against that monster in Giannis, that is something that I would love to watch.
And Dame Dollar, the rivalry he has with Westbrook and Paul George. Can you get your popcorn ready? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I'm not think about. I was fortunate to go to the Dallas game when they played the Utah Jazz and see Luka Doncic have a triple double at halftime. Kev.
Mm-hmm.
The young fella had a triple double at the half. It was one of the best blowout games. I think they won by 30. One of the best blowout games I've ever seen in my life. Right, this dude is unbelievable. Him and Kyrie, the young boy from Duke, Tim Hardaway Jr., the Dallas Mavericks, right? The young Houston Rockets, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Lakers, and LeBron. Like Pelicans, if they were third in NBA before my man Zion went down last year. The West is really good. So the Clippers got their work cut out for them. I'm not going to say it's a shoo-in because the Nuggets going to have something to say about it. But in the end, they got a lot of all-stars. They say it's only one ball. That's all right because a lot of them can do with what you need one guy to do. They got 3 or 4 guys that can do on a given night.
And there's a team you didn't mention that is simmering, not looking so hot right now. But the show that Kevin Durant is putting on in Phoenix right now.
Oh, okay. I thought you was going to say Draymond. Okay.
No. They're aged out at this point. But the Kevin Durant,
no doubt.
Yeah, he's putting on a show, and without Bradley Beal consistently there, they may have something to say here.
Definitely will be in the running. Yeah, Phoenix will definitely be in the money. Ain't no question about it.
Let's say hardwood. Go back to the NCAA though. 2024 predictions from Coach Eric Skeeters. A black head coach will be in the NCAA men's basketball title game this year.
Sentiment. I'm very sentimental when it comes to. I've been fortunate in my coaching career to have a good relationship with Coach John Thompson, the Georgetown staff of the 90s, Craig Escher, Mike Riley. And so since 1984, on the fours, there's been a black head coach win a national championship or in a national championship game. So Coach Thompson with Georgetown in 84, Nolan Richardson in Arkansas in 94, Paul Hewitt in Georgia Tech lost to UConn in 2004, Kevin Ollie in 2014 with UConn as a head coach. So it's all my sentiment, and you can call me superstitious, but I've said it to, the group of head coaches that I know that I think that are really good and have an opportunity to keep the just to keep the record going. You know what I mean? Keep the suit. It's when Coach Thompson won as the first black head coach to win a national Division I national championship in 1984. He regretted that statement because that stated that there was no other coach qualified or intelligent enough to accomplish that feat. So that within itself, there's nothing you can say to top that. Coach Thompson had been there, done that. I mean, he lost in 82, so he had been there before. But to the big house games and the coaches of the past, John McClendon, to say they weren't qualified. But now it's just a sentimental anniversary for black head coaches in college basketball that on the floor since Coach Thompson won. I mean, Tubby Smith won in 98. So there's not just, it's not just on the floors that black college coach. And my friend, Paul Hewitt, happened to be the one that did not win it, but he was, obviously he coached on Monday night. So it's just a sentimental anniversary for me that I think, and I hope that'll happen. We'll see. I hope I didn't jinx them. Right. But at the same time, it's just giving paying a little homage and recognizing the success of some black college coaches in basketball.
And to your point, the sentimentality that you were speaking towards, we are seeing a lot more black coaches at the NCAA level for basketball. Still looking for more of an increase and push for the football side of things, but that's one thing the NCAA for men's basketball has done very well, is seeking out that talent from all areas. If you're a winner, you're a winner. And basketball has done a very good job of that on every level.
Without a doubt. No, and to the football, I was fortunate enough to hear Charlie Strong speak years ago. And he talked about being the coordinator. There's a special on Netflix of Urban Meyer in his years at Florida with the Gators, and how hard it was for Charlie Strong to get a head coaching job as a black coordinator of national championship football programs. And to his credit, he ended up getting Louisville and moving on to Texas and South Florida. But yes, that challenge is still out there. Hats off to Deion Sanders and wish him the best. It's proving that at the former athletes like Deion that can coach the game. Like there's always been a knock in college basketball on big men of being able to coach. But at the same time, you look at guys like Kevin McHale and Patrick Ewing and what's my guy's name? McDermott at Creighton. The big guys that coach. Larry Bird coached the Pacers all the way to the final. So just the impact and the success of Juwan Howard at Michigan, and Penny Hardaway at Memphis. Some of them going back to their alma maters, right? And that's not no knock on, because obviously I got a lot of friends of all walks of life in college basketball. So this is no knock. It's just my sentiment for the black head coaches to, and guys like Kelvin Sampson, who've, taken multiple programs to the Final Four. It's just one of those kind of, sentimental things that I just looking at this 2024. It's almost like it's the year. It's the year for,
right.
It's like the Chinese New Year. It's the black coaches' New Year in college basketball.
You mentioned Kevin Sampson too. The Houston out here cleaning folks up. They out here cleaning folks up. Keep an eye out for them Cougs out there.
Can we talk about college basketball for a second?
Here we go. Now, is this a prediction? No. Or are you got to go off the rails? What you doing here?
No. It's just as we go into this season, right? And we go in 2024. As the NFL playoffs wind down and college basketball kicks off with conference play, there's just a lot of good teams and a lot of good basketball being played. The Big East has shown that, they're still one of the best conferences, with UConn winning the national championship, Seton Hall and Shaheen Holloway and his success. Villanova has had some great wins. Georgetown has a new head coach, and Ed Cooley, who had tons of success at Providence. The new Providence, probably the hottest young coach in college basketball, is a friend of mine, like family, Kim English Jr. Me and his dad, come up together. His dad was my old head coming up. Like, there's a lot of good basketball. The ACC, the Big 12 and the Big 10, there's these arguments, the Pac-12 and what they will be in the future, what college basketball will be in the future. We don't know. With the ACC bringing in programs like Stanford and Cal, and the Big 10 bringing in USC and UCLA, like college basketball, college sports, but mainly college basketball. It's going to be a fun year this year. It's going to be a fun year. Look out for the tournament. Literally the best 3 weekends in sports. I'm biased, but that March Madness, whew.
Yeah, that's it's going to be a beast. Keep an eye out for. There was a Hoosier team that almost knocked off those Jayhawks too the other week.
Yes, sir. No, listen.
It's going to be a fun year for sure.
Expectations in Bloomington.
That's right. Let's go back to the football field. We'll stay college. You brought up one of the greatest NFL quarterbacks of all time, one of the greatest college and NFL coaches of all time. You say in 2024, the greatest, Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
He will bolt after winning the national championship, which means he gets past Alabama. This is something that'll happen within the next couple of weeks. Harbaugh will bolt after winning the national championship and return to the National Football League. Coach, what say you?
They play tonight. So as we're recording right now, the game against Alabama, Michigan tonight. The rallying point for those kids in that program, they were out there, coach, for the first 3 games of the season. Then they lose them for 3 more games within the season, 3 Big Ten, 2 road games, Penn State and Iowa. Then they come home and beat Ohio State at home. His message is still fresh with those kids. A lot of times, and I'm not saying Nick Saban's, because obviously they knocked off Georgia in the SEC title game. So Harbaugh's message is still fresh with Michigan. And he hasn't been there every game, and yet the assistant coaches now have more of an impact of the games that they want. So that in itself, for Jim Harbaugh, I think the crowning moment as a alum, as a former player at Michigan, was if and when he wins it. And once he wins it, it's like, what do? You win it again? Well, the Chicago Bears, it's just my opinion, are building a new stadium. He's one of the legendary players in that organization. They need to sell season tickets. They could offer a cut of the franchise,
right.
A cut from ticket sales, a percentage of what the revenue earned, like the contract and the money that you could make, and the accomplishment of going back. He was a great NFL coach. He lost to his brother Think about that. He coached against his brother in the NFL in the Super Bowl.
Can you imagine?
With Mr. Controversy in sports and Colin Kaepernick. So as a coach, he's done a hell of a job. And my son, he'll see this and want to burn it because he's Ohio State. He's a Buckeye through and through. He was born in Youngstown, Ohio. So, but you got to give credit where credit is due. I've seen, I've heard, I've watched, and I've sat with my son and watched the Ohio State Michigan game. As and Urban Meyer beat him for years, but not saying that he followed all the rules. We don't know, right? Not saying he did it without any controversy, but we come to find out in the end that Jerry Tarkanian wasn't really wrong. What he was trying to accomplish at UNLV and take care of the players, it wasn't illegal what Tark was doing. My friend, may he rest in peace, at UNLV back in the day. So Harbaugh may come out, with a clean slate and nothing that he did with between those lines on the gridiron. I think he wins it all. I think he beats Alabama. That Washington-Texas game going to be a great one. The quarterback, Penix and Texas quarterback, going to be a great matchup. There's a lot of talent on that field for these next 3 games, the semifinals and the championship. I think Harbaugh wins it all and goes and coaches Chicago Bears. See what happens. The people in Michigan, he may stay. He may decide to, do it again. Let's run it back. Who knows? But I think if he's accomplished that this season with the controversy that they've had and what they've been through and the impact that he's had on that team this year and the opportunity, not that he hasn't, won as an NFL coach, but the opportunity to go back to Chicago and things that we'll see. We'll see.
Well, Jim Harbaugh had no knowledge of any of the tomfoolery that's been going on around the program. I can confirm that as the biggest Jim Harbaugh fan possible.
I couldn't hold it.
But the Chicago Bears, Mike Eberflus says he got a nod this week, actually, saying that he will return for the Chicago Bears. But the Patriots may be open. And the Raiders, another interesting one. You got the Chargers, the Raiders,
right?
Yeah. So there's a couple.
So no knock to Chicago coaching staff right now. They had a hell of a win yesterday.
Oh yes, they
7-9. They put it together. Ohio State quarterback. So hopefully I can win my son back.
Come on.
Which is shout out to what's my man? What's the quarterback?
Justin Fields.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can go back upstairs and hug my son.
We'll go to your very last prediction. I'm not going to stand in the way here. 13-3, Baltimore Ravens. They do this. I'm out.
Yeah. Lamar predicted the night he was drafted. He wanted to win a Super Bowl. Ozzie Newsome knew what he was getting. John Harbaugh, Eric DeCosta, they knew what they were getting when they drafted. They traded up to get in the first round and draft Lamar Jackson, the youngest Heisman Trophy winner at that time when he won it at Louisville as a sophomore. They brought him in. There was a year playing with and behind and then taking the starting job from Joe Flacco, who was Super Bowl 47 MVP. And obviously still got it because he led the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs. But Lamar Jackson, 2019 unanimous MVP in the NFL, he's got paid. He's been hurt. He's had 1-2 wins in the playoffs. He's lost in the playoffs. He's won an MVP. And now he's focused, laser focused, okay, on think about the teams that he's beaten, his record against the NFC. But what they did to Seattle, okay, at the time coming in, what they did to Detroit at the time coming in, what they did to San Francisco, Christmas night, probably the biggest game of the year. The number 1 seed in the AFC and the NFC playing on Christmas night, week 15, 16 in the regular season. That matchup has rarely happened. We beat the brakes off San Francisco. Like we just literally manhandled them. And Purdy threw 4 interceptions. Backup comes in, interception. To yesterday, again, in 6 days, that game was on a Monday night, get back Tuesday morning. You got to play Sunday afternoon. What doesn't get talked about, and I've been saying this, speaking of the Chicago Bears, since we made the trade for Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith, you can look it up, documented, has been working with Ray Lewis, studying film, studying with Ray how to lead. And you look at the impact that he's had in our defense. Javon Clowney, Patrick Queen, Stone and leading the league in interceptions. Marlon Humphrey, got my eye on Marlon Humphrey because I thought that Tyreek Hill matchup when he went out, okay, but we're deep at that position. We're deep defense. Metabike in the season that he's having. The Baltimore Ravens have put it all together. And obviously, I'm probably just like everybody else on TV today and all this week, been singing their praises, but I've been saying it about the defense since August, that the addition of Roquan Smith, him learning, he's been the best thing that ever happened to Patrick Queen, and then Eric Monken coming in with that offense from Georgia that's, let Lamar. Think about the offensive line and the job that they've done. I mean, I could go on.
You can. I mean, get a room.
In every facet, all three phases, the Ravens are clicking in all three phases. The way we beat the Rams, punt return, touchdown in overtime, like all three phases, the Ravens are clicking. Statistically, tops in the league.
Well, Coach Skeeters, when they get there, are they going to turn off the lights again like they did last time?
They tried to take it from us in 2012, but guess what? It don't matter. It don't matter. We got too many weapons, bro. Honestly, hats off to Lamar and staying focused on practice after practice, snap after snap, game after game. Credit to John Harbaugh and his leadership, but the Baltimore Ravens will hoist the Lombardi. Who they play, I hope it's a rematch with the 49ers. I really do. That'll be made for television. Think about that rematch with the 49ers. And then, the 49ers have to go through Philly and Dallas and, to win it or to get to the Super Bowl. They have to come in. And we might have to play Kansas City and Buffalo. You hear me say we, the Ravens. So think about the playoff, the matchups. We may have to play Joe Flacco. Think about that.
That would be crazy.
Play Cleveland in the playoffs.
I'll tell you, if you're talking about the matchup in that game, there is a team that's just bubbling on the outside, getting hot, and very quietly winning. The LA Rams are slowly but surely getting hot again. Little Lamar Jackson versus Aaron Donald.
Again, now we already took care of once. I mean, it took overtime, but I love to see it.
But the Browns, the Dolphins, both conferences, but the AFC is pretty there. That's pretty stacked. And if Patrick Mahomes decides he's ready,
right,
this whole thing could change. So I don't know. I don't know.
His receivers got to catch the ball. Right?
But it's funny. We were talking last year. If you just get Lamar Jackson some receivers, it might help a little bit. Just make it look like we got weapons out there.
So when you look at the additions, Odell Beckham, Nelson Aguilar, the draft is Zay Flowers, likely. Mark Andrews has been out for 4 weeks. Our Pro Bowl tight end has been out with Lamar's number one receiver, Bateman. So he has a ton of talent and a ton of weapons. And I hate to say this, but the loss of Mark Andrews has now made him deliver the ball and look for other. He's hit 7 different receivers in the same game multiple times this year. He threw for 5 touchdowns yesterday against Miami. So they call it the Jackson 5. Think about that. I mean, he has the weapons to go along with his ability. And hear me clearly, that Ferrari of Lamar running the ball is still in the garage.
That's right.
We pull it out whenever he wants to pull out that Lamborghini and get to running the ball. So
I'll end the love fest here. But Happy New Year, Coach Skeeters. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Great 2024. Bringing 2023 to a close, but looking forward to 2024 and all that it brings. I'm
Kevin Wilson, alongside the great, illustrious coach, Eric Skeeters, holding it down for the Baltimore Ravens.
That's it.
But we'll see you next time on Top Assistant.
My man.